Hey, everybody, welcome to the Others podcast. I'm your host, Steve Penny. We have been away for quite an extended summer break, but we are back now. I was about to say back to every 2 weeks, but I know my co host probably has some trips and some holidays coming up, don't you, Rafa?
Yeah, probably. Hopefully.
Hopefully. How you doing? How's your summer been?
Yeah, man, it's been good. Pretty fucking hot, but it's been super cool, man. And how about yours?
Good, man. Yeah, it's been a toasty old summer.
Yes.
I feel a bit guilty mentioning this because I know we have a lot of US listeners. But I had 5 weeks summer holiday, so 5 weeks off of work, um, chilled out, went to the UK for a week, saw lots of friends, spent some time in a summer cottage here in Finland, just did some nice stuff, chilling out, taking it easy, relaxing, decompressing. It was nice.
Nice, man. Like most of the summer I spent it here in Barcelona. Because of course, like we have the beach in here. So on those sunny, very sunny days, like we just go to the beach, relax a little bit, jump on the
Nice.
on the sea, and come back. But we also had we went to Brussels, Belgium, to see Justin Timberlake.
Ah, yes, I remember because you sent me some videos. And I saw your posts on Instagram, yes.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And as a fan of N.E.R.D and Pharrell Williams, there was a moment that he noticed the hat. I was wearing the N.E.R.D yellow trucker hat, the classic, and he noticed because I was in the front line, and he pointed out, like, make a gesture like a good dope head, man, and
Nice.
it was pretty cool.
How was the show itself? Was it good?
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. It was pretty good. Like, it was even better than I imagined, because I remember, like, when on his last tour, like, his voice was failing a lot, so he was using a lot of his background vocals, like the vocalist, to help him to sing a lot of the parts of the songs. And actually, that was one of the motives that we went to see him, because I told Juliana, oh, you have to see Justin Timberlake right now, because from now, like, his voice he will be continuously failing him, because he used a lot of falsetto. I mean, that happens with a lot of singers. Like, if you think about, like, I don't know, Celine Dion or Mariah Carey, even Michael Jackson, like, a lot of them, like, they had to protect their voice because of the falsetto using. And but it was pretty cool. Like, he was singing his heart out. And I mean, and at the end of the day, it's still Justin. Like, he's a showman. The stage was insane, and the band was awesome. Like, everything was pretty cool.
That sounds good. I'm still yet to see him just in concert. I've seen obviously him on stage twice with N.E.R.D. Many many years ago, probably 20 odd years ago now. But I haven't seen him individually anywhere. So I'd still like to at some point. I'm pretty sure he's not coming over here on this current tour because I think I did look when it got announced. But hopefully in the future, in the coming sort of few years, he'll kind of come back over this way.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I would love to see him again. Like, I was pretty uh, surprised of how good was the concert, to be honest, especially because of all controversy around him, and him using drugs and drinking, and I don't know. I thought that will make, like, I don't know, make him kind of, I don't know. You know how the media does celebrities, so sometimes, like, you can, shook get this artist shook a little bit emotionally. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I think, using drugs and drinking isn't so much of a problem. I'd be worried if he had to drive a car on stage, let's say. Luckily, I'm pretty sure that's not
Exactly.
included in the set.
Yeah, yeah, no. It was just singing, dancing, and playing instruments. Nothing crazy.
Good. He should keep it that way. He's getting old now.
Yeah.
But yes, I would like to see him in the coming years if I get a chance. I'll keep my eyes peeled for further tours. And speaking of gigs, I can't remember if we mentioned it on the previous podcast because it was a couple of months ago. We must have talked about it briefly. But the Clip's new album and the tour, we still don't have any firm dates yet for either the album or the tour. Obviously, tour merch has kind of been available with a kind of tour merch that he did as a collaboration with Carhartt, and that had a number of
Yeah.
different kind of locations listed on the back of the t-shirts, and I think the hoodies as well, but no dates set yet. So I know we're all still patiently waiting for that because we are going to try and get together somewhere if it's at all possible to watch that. So if anyone has any inside information on when the Clips are going to be touring, please do get in touch.
Yes, man. We are still waiting. Like it's been like 2 months since the merch came out,
It's
something
been a
like that,
while,
or a
yeah.
month.
It would have been a
Yeah,
couple of months
right.
because I think it came out around the time we did the last podcast episode. So that was the start of June or the sort of second week of June. So a couple of months back now, yeah.
Yeah, I really thought they were uh what is the word like? They were like doing that merch just to announce a world tour in a few days like after the merch because of the like you mentioned, like you have the cities and the countries that the tour is going to be, but nothing.
Yeah, it
Zero.
seems very strange. I would have expected that merch to have kind of been the initial hype to kind of sell the tickets, and I would have expected an announcement a week or two later maybe. And like you say,
Yeah.
especially because it's got the locations on there as well, which means at least part of it is kind of confirmed from their side, I guess. But then who knows? Maybe places they were intending to go have had to change, or venues can't accommodate them, or whatever it might be. So let's hope it's all still going ahead, and all those places are still going to get shows. Especially because there's at least two or three places on that list where I think we can potentially meet up ourselves and a few other people that have been talking about it. It'd be good to do that. So, yeah, let's see. And as we record this, it is Tuesday, the 27th of August. And I'm only mentioning it because I will order tickets this Saturday. There's been an Oasis announcement today that they are
Yeah, I saw that.
doing a reunion. I don't think they're reforming. They're not going to go back and record together or anything, but they are at least doing a kind of reunion tour in the UK initially, and then supposedly there's going to be a world tour following that. So I will be trying to get tickets for one of the UK shows on Saturday morning. I don't know if I will manage to get them because I think there's going to be a lot of people. So let's see.
Yeah. The is the prices out now or still?
No, they. I don't think they will pre-announce the prices. I think the prices will just be available when the tickets go live. I think the
Ah,
prices are
okay.
going to be quite high. Let's say. I
Yes.
think. Yeah, I think they're going to be well over a. I think they're going to start at probably around €100. I would imagine for like a cheap seat,
Yeah.
and then
Oh
possibly
yeah, yeah,
going
one
up
hundred
even
percent.
further. Just because there's going to be such a demand for these, every single show is going to sell out easily. I would
Easily.
I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
even expect them to potentially put on extra dates as well after the fact. But let's see. I'm going to try and get hold of a ticket or a couple of tickets and then make a trip back to the UK next summer, which I normally do anyway. So I'll try and tie it into that. But if not, then I will have to wait for the the world tour and the European leg whenever that happens. And if it does happen, because knowing the two of them, they could get absolutely sick of each other after, well,
Exactly.
just after the rehearsals and give it all up. You know, I think
Yeah, man.
other people
I
that
was
follow
thinking the same
Oasis will,
thing.
yeah, will sort of know what I'm talking about. They have a very love hate relationship. They've spent the last, what, 5 years, I think, probably more, just absolutely hating each other, not talking to each other, insulting each other regularly. So
Yeah.
we'll see how they get on, because they have cancelled tours in the past. Yeah, even in their heyday when they were at their absolute peak, they would regularly cancel shows and cancel tours just because they weren't getting along and they just hated each other. So we'll see.
So
I'm
crazy.
hoping the estimated £400 million that they're going to make from the tour is going to keep them focused. And Noel Gallagher.
There's a good reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Noel. I think he's recently divorced, and he has a something like a £40 million divorce settlement he has to pay as well. So
Damn.
I'm hoping the obscene amount of cash that they're potentially going to make from this tour, will keep them friendly for a little while, at least until at least the end of next summer.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason that they reunited. Like he called his brother, like, man, I need money.
I think it plays a part. Yeah, they have been taught, or individually they've been sort of mentioning it over the last 18 months, and they've been a little bit sort of friendlier. They still weren't speaking directly, but they've been not as insulting as they had been previously, and they'd said the odd nice thing about each other. And then I think putting that amount of money in front of a couple of people, and they're obviously both very, very wealthy anyway, but
Yeah.
if someone puts 400 million in front of you, of which they're probably going to take home, they've obviously got to pay their band and all that sort of stuff, but they're easily going to take home, what, 50, 60 million each, maybe. If someone sticks
Wow.
out in front of you and says, look, is 60 million in your bank account for, what, a couple of months worth of work, a month rehearsing and all that sort of stuff, then a month of doing the shows, or not even a month of doing the shows, you know, that's fairly straightforward money to make, I would think.
Yeah, yeah, true. No brainer.
Yes. But yeah, let's hope they stay civil and hope it all goes ahead. Anyway,
Yeah.
we have gone on way too long about non-related things. So let's get into what we're here to talk about this week. And this
Yeah.
week we are going for an artist that I'm not really a fan of, but it is, I was going to say iconic. It's not an iconic track, but it's a big track. It is Future's "Move That Dope," or "Move That Dough" if you are listening to the radio edit of the song, featuring Pusha T, Pharrell, and Casino. Although for some reason Casino seems to get cut out everywhere. He is not on the standard YouTube video, and he does not make the radio edit of the song either, unfortunately. Not that
Yeah.
his verse was anything to particularly write home about. I only even realized a couple of days ago when I looked at the video. I went to YouTube and I typed in "Move That Dope," and I saw there was an extended version, and I was like, "Oh, an extended version? What's that about?" And then realized that it has the casino verse at the end.
Oh, really?
I'd never even noticed that there were two versions of the video that were different. So
Oh, wow. I mean, I don't care about Casino also, like in his verse. I remember like in 2014 I was only listening to the original version. But yeah, it was pretty. I think it was pretty big in Atlanta because I think Casino is like related to Future somehow,
okay,
and he was kind of big in Atlanta.
I
But
have
yeah,
no idea.
I remember like only listening to the original version. Yeah,
Yeah, I was only aware of like the album version. Even though I've seen the video like quite a few times, I never even clocked that like it was missing a verse. So yes, if you are ever missing the casino version as you watch the video, there is an extended version on YouTube that gives you his verse as well and him in the video. But in terms of the track itself, let's go through the usual facts and figures. The single was released on the 6th of February 2014. It's the fourth single from Future's second album called Honest. The video, strangely enough, came out a month later. Obviously, normally a video would precede a single coming out to kind of, generate some hype around it, but this seems to have come out a month later or so for what some reason or another. Directed by Benny Boom, who has done lots of hip hop videos, lots of popular videos over the years. The main version has 55 million YouTube views. The extended version has 9 million views. So there's at least a few casino fans out there looking for the extended version. And then the track itself, produced by Mike Will Made It, only made 46 on the Hot 100 chart in the US and 11 on the R&B and hip hop chart. But then saying that, it did do very well on a lot of like end of year charts. I think in the US it was in the top 40 end of year chart. Rolling Stone, it was number 4 of the 50 best songs of 2014 somehow. I can't remember what else came out in 2014, but yeah, got number 4 in their ranking anyway. Number 37 in Complex's best 50 songs of 2014. And it featured in the sort of top 20 of various other end of year awards and things like that. It won the BET Hip Hop Award for Best Club Banger. That's a very
Okay.
niche award there. It did have 5 other nominations, but it won Best Club Banger.
Okay.
And yeah, it performed, I would say, okay. Not off the charts, but over the course of a year. And since then, it's done all right. And it is a track
Okay.
that I personally like. This is one that I do listen to. I think we've talked in the past about various tracks that, even some that are produced by the Neptunes, and some that just Pharrell appears on. There are some that I just skip over. I don't particularly want to listen to them or hear them or watch them because I've various reasons. One of which being I may have seen them a million times before. Another reason being I may not enjoy it. But this one I tend to leave on. I tend to listen to. I quite enjoy this one.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah, particularly, yeah, because man, everybody like I remember when I first listening to it, like, of course, Pusha T's verse and Pharrell's verse was like the highlight for me. And actually, until that moment when the song came out, have never listened to Future before. I remember, but I knew him because he was, what is the name of the singer? He used to date,
No idea. He's not somebody that I
yeah, he
follow.
used to. What is the name of the singer that dance like she dance a lot? She dance good like Michael and oh, and she used to date. I think she's dating like a football player.
I have
Oh
no idea.
man, like,
You
like
keep talking. I'll try and Google it.
oh man, Jesus. Oh, she had like two songs with the Neptunes. I think. Yeah, man, my memory is out now. Jesus Christ, sorry. But yeah, I think she had uh, a performance with Chris Brown on BET that they
Oh,
danced together.
Sierra or Ciara,
Yes,
however
that's
you
the
pronounce
one,
it.
man. Sierra. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Damn, I forgot her name. So yeah, so I remember like I used to know him because he used to date her, and but I never stopped to listen to his songs. So this song is actually the first song, future song that I ever heard. And but I also like a lot of his verse, like his flow and everything. And and of course, like the beat is insane, like in my opinion. and I also like didn't know actually like who was Mike Will until that point. Like I knew that he worked on Miley Cyrus album that was also huge, but I think
It's
that
strange how
this song was also
all of your reference points are like I was gonna not obscure, but like Miley Cyrus and Ciara, and that's how you find your way into hip hop for all these like funny pop artists.
yeah. But you know what? If I think about it, like I remember back in that era, I was in a group in Facebook that we used to talk a lot about all type of music, and there were the hip hop heads, the pop heads, and the rock and roll heads, and but since we were in a group, like it was a cool group to knows what was going around on other genres. So yeah, you should talk about like everything there. So I think that's why my reference sometimes get out of the hip hop and R&B world, you know. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I always like other genres, especially pop. But I think that group, especially on their era, like from 2010 until 2015, like that group helped me a lot to be I don't know updated with what was going on in the music industry in general.
Yeah,
What we were talking like we were can we talk about like the verses and
yeah. Let's start off first with there's an old salt and pepper sample in there from Push It, a
yes.
sample and an interpolation as well. In the video, we've got some cameos. We've got obviously Mike Will. We've got Schoolboy Q. Wiz Khalifa turns up towards the end just randomly, and Tyler the Creator just hanging out in the back of a jeep like you do when you got
Yeah,
nothing
which
better
make
to do.
which make me think like it would be awesome to have a remix of that song with those guys like Tyler, Weez, and Scuba Q. It would be
That would be
great.
interesting. While I was kind of digging around,
Yeah.
there are a few remixes out there. There was a Busta Rhymes remix that I heard, which Busta Rhymes and
So,
somebody on his record label, as it normally is, one of those artists that aren't actually that good. I can't remember which one. And it was a bit of a disappointment because you listened to the other artist first, and his flow was just exactly the same as Future's flow. He just obviously changed the words
oh,
up and stuff. So it was like, oh, well, you're just copying what Future's already done on the same beat. Like, oh. And then Buster's verse wasn't great after either. So I don't think I listened to all of it. I think that was the only proper remix that I saw. But yeah, remix with those other guys that are in the video would be very interesting itself. Just to loop back to that salt and pepper sample as well. Obviously, that's from the 80s. I think there's a very 80s feel in general to the beat. And I think I saw an interview somewhere where Future was specifically talking about that as well, how he liked that 80s sound to it and wanted more of an 80s sound to it. And also, as you go through the video, there are lots of references back to 80s items. You see an old 80s boombox, an old, very old mobile phone, which is like the size of
sure.
I was going to say the size of a brick, probably the weight of a brick, but even bigger in size. And then there's a Versace reference in the song as well. And I think also the clip that it goes to is a vintage pair of Versace glasses, which look as if they're probably from the 80s as well. So that all kind of ties into giving the whole thing a very 80s vibe.
Yeah, I remember like I was trying to find the article, but I couldn't, and I really don't remember. Like maybe it's like I dream about it, but I really remember we were talking about this song on the forum, and someone said, no, I don't think someone said that. I think someone like posted the link from the article saying like they try to book Jamie Foxx and what is the name of the guy, the other actor that they did Miami Vice together?
Oh, man.
Colin Farrell.
Oh, yeah, it was Colin Farrell. Yeah.
Yeah, so I and that's why the video was out a month later of the release of the song, because they were trying to book Jamie Foxx and Colin Farrell to appear a little bit on the video, just because of the vibe of the 80s
Ah, okay.
and drug and talking about dope and everything, but they couldn't. Yeah, but and I was trying to I try all day to find that link, and I even asked on the group to see if one of the guys like remember anything, and no one remembers. So I was like, oh, that maybe I dream about it, because there's no way nobody remembered this.
I just did a quick Google as well. I couldn't find anything. And also
Yeah,
the Miami Vice movie you're talking about came out in 2006 as well. So that would have been 8 years before. So it would have been a slightly tenuous link to have them in the video, but you never know.
yeah, true. If it was like a little closer just to promote the movie, would be easier, I
Yeah.
guess.
I'll see if I can do some digging at some point in the future and and see if you did dream that or whether there are rumors of that.
Yeah, true.
And then coming back to the video, as of most videos this time, there is some lovely blatant product placement with Beats Music. And I do like, obviously, back in the day with Beats Music, before Apple bought it, it was actually a very good streaming service. And you could type in, there were different
True.
ways to get different types of music. And you could type in what you were doing, how you were feeling, and stuff like that. And it would generate music based off of that. So that's what Future's doing in the
Wow.
video. And he's got art. So it gives you prompts. So there's I'm, and he's put moving that dough, obviously, editing that slightly because Beats Music probably didn't want to have dope on their screen. And it said, and feel like, and he's put chilling. Then the prompt is with my D boys, and then two, and he's got old school hip hop. So again, another kind of 80s throwback reference type thing as well. So he's typing that into Beats Music, and this is the beat that kind of comes on and starts playing. What I did sort of notice is that with it being Beats Music, this is right before Apple went in and bought Beats Electronics and Beats Music for a rather large amount of money and made Dr. Dre a billionaire in the process. So, if this had come out 6 months later or 12 months later, and they still, because Beats Music was still doing endorsements kind of separately, and Beats Electronics were as well. They would have got, I think, a rather large, a larger fee for their product placement to add to their budget. And with that added money, they probably could have then got Jamie Foxx and Colin Farrell if they really wanted them. But unfortunately,
Yeah, true.
they did this 6 months before the Apple deal.
And that makes me think how even better this video is, and even the concept or everything. Like, because sometimes I feel like when rappers, especially in the US, sometimes when they do featurings and they do videos, they just do like randomly, like it's not well thought of. And if you think about it, when you say like, oh, like the concept of the video and using the Beats app to set the mood for future, like this, like he said, like, oh, I'm moving the dog, chilling with my D boy, so it makes a lot of sense to bring Pusha T with it and old school hip hop. So of course, like, Pharrell is making music from the late '90s, so it makes a lot of sense, the featuring and the concept of the video and everything. So yeah, especially for future, like, this is pretty well thought of.
Well, I sort of partly disagree. I like the setup of the Beats Music placement and how that then ties into the beat and the track itself. That works kind of quite well, like you just said. But then the overall kind of concept of the video, I just found quite messy, a bit all over the place. You've
Oh
got
yeah, true.
you've got a lot of it of them just stood around or sat inside an open top Jeep. You've then got some other kind of cut scenes, like when Future's doing his verse with different outfit changes and lighting and smoke effects. And then you've got this very loose police car chase story going on that it keeps cutting to for no apparent reason because there's no setup to that story or anything else. And effectively, there's like a Chevrolet van, a police car chasing it through a city, Atlanta or something, I assume. Eventually, they catch it. They take the people out of the van, and it's just two attractive women, and nothing happens. They get arrested, and that's it. There's no setup to it. There's no implication of what they're doing. I guess the song is "Move That Dope," so that is the implication that it's like involved in that in some way, but you don't see any of that in the video. So yeah, it's a little bit of a mess. You could have cut all that stuff out of the video, and it still would have been a fine video.
Yeah, yeah, true. I think the worst part for me is when the screen is divided in three parts and they are just showing like featuring some random models like dancing. You're
Yes.
like, oh, this make no sense like at all.
Yeah.
Like they spend a lot of money on this and why? But okay. And yeah, and the worst part for me is the ridiculous hoodie. And I think it's a
Oh,
hoodie that Future is wearing, like the gray hoodie when he's like with the scene on the scenes that he's with Mike Will made it.
that makes me
Man,
laugh every time I watch it. And it made me laugh yesterday when I was
Jesus.
writing notes, but I didn't put it in the notes. I was like, no, no, I'm going to ignore it. I'm not going to mention it because I don't know how to explain it. But then you put it in,
No,
you put it
man.
in the show notes. I was like, okay, we've got to talk about it. It's such a bizarre thing because it partly looks like a denim jacket that he's got on
True.
backwards because like the collar kind of comes up to his mouth and then sticks out at the back. So at first I was like, okay, he's wearing something backwards. Okay, like Chris Cross did that
Yeah,
in the well, that might have been 1990, but around that time. Is it?
yeah,
Does it tie into that? But then I actually put a screen grab in our document, and I'll try and remember to add it to the show notes and to the show art as well, the chapter art. But
yes. People have to see this.
it does look like it's got like a kangaroo pouch pocket in the front, like a normal hoodie would. So
True. Yeah.
it's I can't tell if this is on backwards or not. And if it's not on backwards, what the fuck it's meant to be.
Yeah, man. Fashion, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we go back to that era, like people were doing crazy stuff. Yeah, that hoodie like is not the worst thing that rappers wore in their videos on that era, but just it's just ridiculous, even for future.
Because I don't even think it's a hoodie. I don't think there's a hood attached to that. I think
Yeah,
it's just a
true.
big collar that like kind of comes up, but the collar is back to front. It's on the front of the item instead of around the back of it. It's just really bizarre looking. I'm sure somebody out there will correct us and say, "Oh, that's actually a famous type of jacket or something." But I've got no idea with this one.
Yeah, man. I know. I can you imagine like future being like a real drug dealer and the cops stop him over and he's wearing this ridiculous piece of clothing. Man, what an embarrassment. Like the cops will be like, "Are you really a drug dealer, bro? Like, what are you wearing? Like, we're gonna arrest you for the drugs and for this clothing."
Crimes against fashion.
Jesus. Exactly.
Oh man, yeah. I'll try and remember to upload an image of it later because it is somewhat ridiculous, and I'm glad you pointed it out and put it in the show notes.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's get on to the verses. I would almost kind of skip over the future one. Like I say, I don't follow Future that much. I know a few things he's featured on. I know a few sort of songs that I've heard in the past. The flow
Yeah,
itself,
me
the
too.
verse itself, sounds fairly sort of generic to me. It's a fairly standard verse. There's nothing particularly interesting in it lyrically, at least not that I find interesting. But what I think you mentioned earlier, like, what I do find interesting and what are the highlights to me, and I know we're a bit biased, but I genuinely think they are the best parts of the track are the Pusha verse and the Pharrell verse.
Oh yeah, true. Like 100%. There's no denying it. I think even future fans back in 2014 were like, "Oh shit!" Like Future got murdering on his own song.
Yeah, we've got a classic verse from Pusha. We won't go into it too deep, but he utilizes like the I know as in I know something and I knows as in his nose for cocaine references throughout the kind of start of the track, which again is kind of a tried and tested thing that he's done in various tracks, but it works really well here. It fits really well. It sounds really good. So I really like that as part of his verse. His flow, really good. The kind of little ad libs and stuff, classic Pusher stuff that he's got in there,
True,
excellent. And then in terms of Pharrell, it is somewhat of a surprise to see him on this track at this time. He is dressed as classic Pharrell of this era. So he's got the buffalo hat, which he was rocking at this time, the Billionaire Girls Club hoodie that he was wearing a few of those different ones for a year or so, the long kind of Chanel necklaces, the Adidas sneakers. He's really repping the Adidas stuff. And I
yeah,
think
true.
they're the Adidas
The
jeans as well that he was wearing around that sort of period. I mean, it was just after he had the Adidas jeans.
Yeah, I think he's the one with the Adidas logo
Yeah, on the back.
on the
Yeah,
back, right?
yeah.
Yeah, true.
So it's interesting to see him in this because I also, sort of saw in some interviews Future talking about they had to convince Pharrell to be on the track. So I think the story goes is that the song was recorded. Pusha and Pharrell happened to be in a studio where Future was. Future played them the beat and possibly part of his work on there. And Pusha and Pharrell both said, "Oh wow, this is amazing. We need to jump on this as well." So they recorded their parts. And then when Future said, like, okay, I want to use those parts and I want to put this out on the album, and now it's a single and a video, Pharrell was like, yeah, actually, no. Like, this is around the time when he's doing Girl, he's doing the Daft Punk stuff, the happy stuff. He is a very different person, I think, to the general public versus his hip hop persona that he'd kind of moved
True.
away from at that point. So Future had to convince him to do it because Pharrell was, worried about some possible backlash that he might get around that time. And Future convinced him that it was a positive message that Pharrell's verse was giving, and that it was telling people and inspiring people to let everything go. Yeah, that's one way of twisting it, I guess.
Yeah, this is still a track about drugs,
Yeah,
but okay.
and Pharrell is still got two hoes, need to let one go. Got two Lambos, need to let one go. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, making yoga naked with 20 girls, like okay,
yeah,
like I always, I always, like I remember I was surprised with Pharrell being in this song because of what with everything that was happening with Pharrell. Like you said, like Happy was a huge track until that I think it was for Happy was huge for almost 2 years,
yeah.
and even Get Lucky with Daft Punk. So and the Girl album. So Pharrell was 100% make dancing with women on the stage, and the song came out and it's about drugs. It is with Future, Pusha T, and he's saying some crazy things on it. And I was like, oh man, but I mean, at the same time that I was surprised, but at the same time I was like, oh, that's so Pharrell, because of Pharrell was is always everything about being versatile. What is the word?
Versatile.
Versatile.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he can
thank
dip
you.
in and out of anything,
Yeah,
can't he? Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Especially like you say, like you described the things that he was wearing on this video. So everybody was like kind of wearing the same type of style, and Pharrell was wearing this ridiculous hat. And actually, that was the first time I I thought about buying a hat like that
Oh, it
because
crossed
it
your
was
mind, did
so.
it? Oh,
Yeah, no, but let me tell you why. Because before that, like Pharrell was singing, like he was singing R&B songs, pop songs, and with that head, it was not appealing to me. But when that verse came on, and you saw Pharrell rapping his heart out with that big ass head, I'm like, oh man, now you're selling to me. Like, now you
now,
sold
now
the
that
head
hat
for
is
me.
legit.
Yeah, exactly. Now it makes sense, you know. And it looks so
I
cool
don't think there's
also.
any track he could be on where I would think, "Oh, that hat looks cool. I'm gonna get one of them now."
No, man, I'm not even joking. Like, it was the first time, man, this had kind of look cool. But I always think about how, like, the scenes that the four of them are together on in front with that truck, and Tyler are also there. And can you imagine like someone passing by and seeing like Future, Pusha T, Tyler the Creator, and Pharrell?
Yeah,
I love all people with this buffalo hat on. I'm like, what is going on in my hood? Like, what is this?
yeah. It's a strange place for him to pop up, certainly, especially around that time. But then I think we've talked many times about his or like you said, his versatility, his ability to kind of just go to any genre whatsoever. And we've got it in our bits of news and stuff later on, but only a few weeks ago he scored a big piece of music for the Olympics.
Yeah, man,
You know,
that was awesome.
that's some like professional orchestral musician, amazing music. And then next week they could drop that Clips album, and he could be on that Clips album doing hooks, talking about
Like,
selling cocaine. You can just go from one to the other, and
Yeah,
it's like, well,
yeah,
whatever.
true,
And then
true.
the week after that, he'll be at a fashion show, dressed in God knows what Louis Vuitton have made him, looking like God knows what, but still making it look good.
Yeah, true. Yeah, awesome. Like, is one of the biggest reason why like Pharrell is still to this day he's so how can I say relevant, you
Hmm.
know, because he's doing all these things with all these people, with people from musically, like he's always making music with people from the 80s, 90s, and with new groups and all kinds of genres, and making business with fashion and I don't know, like yeah, a lot of things. Yeah, it's insane.
I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and like we were talking about artists that have kind of lasted a long time, and I went to see Madonna last year. I think it was last year. I went to where did I go? Sweden to go and see her on her
Yeah,
sort of world tour. And we were talking about how sort of she's reinvented herself every kind of 10 years or so. She kind of like reinvents herself, puts out a new sound to her music and stuff like that. But like with Pharrell, he's managed to kind of last as long as he has without having to reinvent himself because he just constantly stays relevant, or not even relevant. He stays ahead of what's happening at any moment in
true,
time in music or in fashion. And it's those things that then catch up to him later on.
true. He's still a trendsetter.
Yes.
That's 50 years old. This is insane.
More than 50 years
Yeah,
old now. Yeah. God.
yeah,
And doing this for, this music stuff for, nigh on 30 years.
yeah, exactly. And hearing this verse after a very long time just make me think about how at the same time that he's doing this music for all these years, like almost 30 years now, it's insane that we still haven't got like a Pharrell rap album, like just rap, because he's, especially on these features, like. He, his verses is always so good. Like I don't remember like a Pharrell feature being bad as a rapper.
Hmm.
I don't remember that. I cannot think of any verse that he's featuring on it that is actually bad.
Yeah, I would really like. Well, maybe not now. I think maybe we're a little bit past it, but I would love to have seen a Pharrell rap album, which just it is has additional features and writing from Pusha, Malice, Jay Z, people like that. Featuring on it, but also writing stuff with him as well, and really getting him to sort of test himself as a rap artist because we know he can do it. Like this verse, amongst many others, shows it.
Yeah, true.
And I do like in here. And I was trying to work this out earlier, and I have thought about it before. The first line in it is me. I tried to leave the best for later, but Pusher tried to put me on the respirator. And I was trying to work out is he implying that Pusher wrote his verse, and then the verse that he's written is that good? He's he's out of breath trying to do it, or is it that he's kind of he's been left. He's trying to have to push himself so far. He's left himself sort of breathless, trying to follow up from Pusher's verse.
Yeah, I think it's the latter.
Yeah.
Like it makes more sense. I mean, in Pusha verse is pretty good, so I can imagine Pharrell like even rewriting a verse just to make it as good as Pusha's,
Yeah.
and it's as a pretty good way to say that for that Pusha left him breathless because Pusha is the coke rap god, so it's a pretty good reference to say.
And there are some lighter moments in the Pharrell verse. So there's the him being sort of slightly self-aware and self-deprecating, where he references the Gandalf hat and the weird ass clothes. That's Comme des Garçons and the Buffalo, which is a good
Yeah,
bar. That's makes it a bit more light-hearted. It's not quite not it's not always completely dark when you're talking about drug rap.
true. And also, I think he's like you say, like he's very aware. And I remember like everybody on the internet was talking about his hat when he wore it the first time on the Grammys. So it was pretty clever to kind of make a joke about himself just ahead of everybody that could rap about his weird ass clothes.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I guess with the hat, because it did make a lot of, he was wearing it a lot, and obviously, I'm sure people actually would comment to him to his face, like, "What's with the hat?" But I do wonder sometimes how self-aware he is, just because he is now at that level where he lives in a almost like a sort of celebrity bubble. He's not out there, hanging out with normal people. I put in air quotes, and I remember when I spoke to Shay a few years ago, and we talked about the last N.E.R.D album, and I was asking him as part of N.E.R.D, like what does Shay bring to the group nowadays? And Shay, I can't remember the exact wording he gave me. You can go back and listen to it. But he said something along the lines of "Oh, I'm the one that's engaged in the real world still. I'm the one that brings real world news and views and stuff to the group, real world kind of topics that we then talk about and write songs about." So I get the feeling that Shay is probably a bit more closer to the street, as it were, in a way to sort of phrase it. Whereas
Yeah,
Pharrell is kind of in that bubble that he kind of lives in. Because obviously Pharrell doesn't. I imagine Shay could probably walk down most streets and not be too bothered. Whereas Pharrell, can't leave his front door without multiple security, and then being whisked into a
true.
car and driven to wherever he's got to be taken, and then escorted to a door or wherever it needs to be. So I do wonder kind of how self-aware he really is. But I guess the hat was such a kind of phenomenon of the time that I'm sure he had comments from various people directly. But I wonder if he was really aware of all of the news that it was kind of making and the memes that were being created from it and jokes and things.
Yeah, true. Like remember, like I remember there were a Twitter account like Pharrell's hat.
Yes, I
Remember
remember
that?
that. Yeah,
Jesus, what a time! What a
yeah.
time to be
Oh,
alive.
God, yeah. Lucky us.
Yeah, exactly. Kids will never know.
No, lucky them. And then also, the Pharrell's verse kind of goes out, I think, on a nice kind of flourish. There's some nice wordplay, and the flow's really nice where he talks about. I'll read it. I've got it in front of me somewhere. All these drones while y'all smoke dro. There's an eye in the sky. I'm trying to let you know. Ain't no standards. I'm a set one though. Big ass bag with no man's sandals. All that war. We need to let that go. That boom business. I'm gonna get that though. There's some good wordplay in there. Drones in the sky,
True,
eye in the sky, then a war reference, so that ties in directly. But also, we know Pharrell makes a lot of these kind of eye in the sky type references to God as well, and being watched over by God. So there's also that kind of potential take on it.
true.
So yeah, I like the outro of that. And then one other thing, which I need to go and make an annotation on Genius because I believe they've got something wrong. On the hook, in the background, at the end of certain lines, there is somebody saying, don't it make you feel good?"
Mm-hmm.
On Genius, it says that is Future saying that. I am 95% sure it's actually Pharrell singing that. Also, Pharrell does mouth it in the video as well.
Yeah, true.
Now, obviously, me being me, what I always do is I make all these notes and say all these things and have things to say. And then after I've written them, and about 5 minutes before we're about to start recording, I think, oh yeah, I know somebody that made that worked on that song. Maybe I should ask them. So I have asked them. I haven't got a reply because I only sent the message about an hour ago. So I will try and find out if that was actually Pharrell. But I'm 95% certain that it is Pharrell. It sounds like Pharrell, and like I say, he does mouth along to it in the video as well.
Yeah, true. I never thought about that. Like I always thought that that was future, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because the also the voice is kind of like I don't know if it is auto tune or not, but it's kind of distorted. But yeah, it makes sense if it's Pharrell.
Yeah, I'll see if I get a reply. If I do, I'll try to remember to mention it the next time we record something, but I can't guarantee
Okay.
that.
Yeah, and another thing about what Pharrell is saying on his verse, like when he say doing yoga naked with 20 girls, do you think he's referencing to Hypnotize You, the video, the N.E.R.D video?
Possibly. I don't know if it's like a direct reference. I think it's more of just a general kind of concept that's fit into a line.
Yeah, because he's talking about like old Pharrell, right? And the only thing that I could think of about old Pharrell that is not that old, especially for 2014, because I think Hypnotizer came out in 2010, so it was like 4 years
Yeah,
after. But it's the only thing that I could think of.
it could be. It could be.
Yeah, and I also remember like when he made an interview for Playboy. I think it was 2004, and someone asked him like if he has ever have sex with more than one woman, and he said, "Oh, I once like was with five girls in a bed, but I only could make with two because I mean I'm just one man." But that's the only two things that might be like the reference for this line. I don't know.
Yeah, personally, I think it's just a throwaway line that doesn't actually
Oh, okay.
directly relate to anything. But he may certainly have got the idea from like the Hypnotize You video or something
Yeah,
because it kind of very loosely ties in, I guess, with all of the women there. Although none of them are naked, none of them are actually doing yoga. They're all just sat around doing whatever, aren't they? But
yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Anything else we want to talk about with this track and this video?
No, I don't think so. It's just like we said, like everybody. I feel like everybody's good on this song, but 100% like Pusha T and Pharrell stands out, especially Pharrell for obvious reasons, not just flow lyrics, but with the time that he was on his life and career, like it was pretty crazy to see him rapping like that. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good track, and but there's so many music from the Neptunes and that the Pharrell is featuring on it that sometimes I forgot about songs like this. No, I remember like in 2014 that was one of the at least like my top 20 songs of the year, especially on my iPod. And I don't know, like I think it's been like I don't know, maybe 5 years that I wasn't listening to the song until when you mentioned it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said there. Yeah, the standouts are definitely the Pusher and the Pharrell verses. But I would say if you are a Casino fan, you can go and find the extended version on YouTube as well. 9 million people have watched
Sure,
it, so there must be some Casino fans out there. But we won't go into
sure,
Casino's verse because we're talking about the video. So we'll leave that for another time and for people that know things about Casino, which I don't think either of us do.
sure.
All right, let's get on to some news from over the summer. There's been loads of news, so I've just listed out kind of the key things that I've managed to save or remember during holidays and travels and whatnot. So we'll go through some of them. I think in the last episode, we talked about the new Louis Vuitton millionaires that were coming out. So there are actually a number of different versions that came out. So there were new 3.0s, which retailed at 1,750 euros.
Wow.
There were some new 1.1s, and then there were new versions of the OG 1.0s that Pharrell originally did with Louis Vuitton, which were 650, I think, if I remember rightly. I did spend 3 days
Yeah.
sat here at home looking at them constantly. I was going to go buy a pair. It was you that talked me out of it. I did I used the Louis Vuitton app or website to kind of take a picture of myself to see what it looked like wearing them. That website is absolute fucking trash as well. Just by the way, if anyone from Louis Vuitton happens
Yeah,
to
exactly.
listen to this, your website really doesn't work very well. And I took a picture with like what it would look like if I was wearing them. And I was like, I knew I'd look like a fucking idiot. The picture proved I would look like a fucking idiot. I sent it to you. I think you probably told me I looked like a fucking idiot. So I was like, maybe I won't go and buy them. Maybe not.
Yeah, man. No, that was insane, man. That picture made my day, but thanks for that. And I thought about that, oh, Steve's probably think about getting those and he's not going to right now.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
picture I won't be putting in the show notes or on the chapter art.
Yeah. It should be the cover of this
It
episode,
definitely
by the
shouldn't.
way.
No, and I'm slightly worried that I know you have a copy of that picture as well. But yes, I did not get a pair in the end. I did buy some other sunglasses just before the summer, and I thought I rarely actually wear sunglasses. I wear glasses normally. I'll wear contact lenses during the summer just if I'm out and about, so I can put sunglasses on. So I thought what's going to happen is I'll spend 650 euros. They'll just sit in the box or in the drawer by my front door for until next year. And then next year I'll look at them and I'll go, oh god, I look like a fucking idiot. I can't wear these out, and they'll just sit there forever. So yes,
Yeah.
common sense prevailed, and I didn't buy them. I'm not saying I will never buy them because I'm an impulsive, impetuous person who will do stupid things occasionally just for no particular reason. But for the time being, I have not bought them. But one thing I did buy from Louis
Yeah, man.
Vuitton, which probably even more stupid, is after we talked about it last time, I did go and buy the new Louis Vuitton Lovers cologne, the one that Pharrell released, and I think we talked about it not in great length in the
Yeah.
last episode, but we did have a chat about it. After we talked about it, they officially released it. Every Louis Vuitton post or advert or email that I saw had it in it.
Jesus.
They brainwashed me. The advertising brainwashed me. I booked an. No, I didn't book an appointment. Actually, I just turned up at the Louis Vuitton store and just said, "Please, can I come in and buy some of your very expensive cologne?" And they said, "Of course you can, sir. You idiots." So in I went. Once you're in, you can't go back. She was like, "Do you want
Yeah,
to,
of course.
I'll spray a bit on the little sample thing for you so you can smell it." So I smelt it and I was like, "Oh, it smells very nice. Yeah, it's lovely."
Oh, okay.
Even if I'd fucking hated it, I can't go, "Oh, actually, no, sorry, I'm not going to buy that now," and walk out of the Louis Vuitton store.
Yeah, exactly. Looking like a idiot in there, like,
Exactly,
no,
yeah.
I'm not going to buy it.
So yes, I bought it, but luckily it does have a very nice smell. At
Nah, that's nice.
280 euros a bottle, I have not used it yet. It's sat in my bathroom in the cupboard. I will just use it for special occasions. It does come in a lovely box and a lovely bottle,
Yeah,
but yes, it will just be
yeah.
for.
How many millimeters?
It's whatever, I don't know, whatever a standard cologne bottle is, 150 maybe
Okay.
or something, 200.
Oh, so it's not a crazy price for a cologne, actually. Like, if you're gonna get like some perfume or cologne from the same amount, it like is easily like 100 or 150
Yes,
euros. So yeah,
yeah, like the standard ones that I wear day to day. Like I've got a Prada one at the moment, a Dolce and Gabbana one. I think they're like 120 or something normally. So you know, nearly 300. Yeah, is a lot of money for a cologne, but meh, yeah, it's a nice one. It's a high end one. It does smell nice. So yeah, let's see how long it lasts me.
cool, man. Enjoy. No, I'm not going to judge you on that purchase. Like, I think it's not stupid as you think. Like, it's a good smell, and it's not a crazy price, and it's still Louis Vuitton. So yeah,
Yeah, and my excuse is, as always, yeah, it's the summer, and I buy myself a few birthday presents, and that was one of them.
yeah, cool.
I will also, it's not in the show notes, but I will also mention a couple other bits that I got during the summer. Picked up a human made hat from End in London, and I also got a Kenzo hat. Actually, the brown one, the exact one that Pharrell's been wearing all this summer
Oh, okay.
from Nigo's Kenzo line with the Verdi graphic across the front saying Kenzo Paris. Is it Kenzo Paris? I think it says, yeah. So I managed to get
Mm-hmm.
that. I'd been seeing that hat all summer, Pharrell wearing it, really liked it. Thought I would try and have a look to see if I could find it online anywhere. And it turned out that a boutique near me in the city here has recently started stocking Kenzo and actually had two of them in stock. So I managed to grab one locally and not have to mess around with the internet. So that was quite handy.
Cool.
All right, what else did I have? So yeah, my usual summer trips back to the UK involve me going to the BBC store in London and normally spending a decent amount of money in there as well. Um, this year, that could not be done though, because as we previously discussed, the BBC EU store is now completely gone. I had to wander past just
Yeah,
to kind of
man.
see it
Sad.
empty because I've been there, spent so much time there over the years. It was another excuse as to why I kind of bought these other bits and pieces during the summer because I didn't go and splurge a load at BBC. But yeah, it was a shame to see the store closed. The main kind of point of sale now for BBC stuff in London is the installation they have in Selfridges, which has been there a couple of years now, I want to say, maybe 18 months. It's been there a while.
Okay.
So if you're in London and
Mm-hmm.
you're looking for BBC pieces, like Selfridges is probably your best bet now for the installation they've got there. While I was there, I did meet a friend of the show, James. He's a mutual friend of ours. So it was great to
Cool.
hang out with him for an afternoon. We spent quite a bit of time in Selfridges looking at the Nego stuff, the Cuddy stuff, and then a lot of time in the BBC and ice cream sections, ripping apart basically all of the designs there and saying how and why we didn't like most of them. I would say the one or the some of the stuff we did actually quite like was the recent Ice Spice collaboration the BBC EU have done.
Yeah, how was that in person?
Now, I would, and I think James, I don't want to speak for James, but I'm pretty sure he said the same thing. Neither of us would ever buy it because it's Ice Spice. It has a big face of Ice Spice on it. I couldn't even name you a fucking Ice Spice song. I don't even know what she is, what she does. I know she's obviously a music artist of some kind, but I don't know her or what she does. But as part of those t-shirts, there were some really nice elements on them. And I wish
Yeah, I
they
saw
could
it.
take some of those elements and some of those prints and things that they had on there and put them on other t-shirts with other designs. Now, when we were kind of going through a lot of the designs in Selfridges, there were a couple that we liked and quite a lot that we didn't. But I think the both of us both said we really liked the designs of the Ice Spice collaboration ones. They were very nice. So if you are a BBC EU fan and you are an Ice Spice fan, then I would recommend you go and check out the t-shirts. I think there are still some available on the BBC EU website, which is still up and running. And also, you can, I think, get this collaboration T-shirt from Selfridges itself, and I think a few other stockists have got this T-shirt as well.
Nice. Yeah, for what I saw on Instagram of the graphics and the t-shirts, everything, I really like, and I think I feel the same as you guys. Like I will never buy them because I spice
Yeah,
so. And I'm not even going to say that I hate her because I really don't know anything about her. Like, I just know that she's always being talked about because she's, I don't know, she's young and making a lot of noise on the internet. But I would love to see those graphics for other artists. Like, like the same way that the Bape do with artists. Like, I would love to see BBC doing like a standard graphic for artists, like for collaborations, just to see
yeah,
how we were looking with other artists. Because, like I said, like I love the graphic, like it's pretty cool, like meshing up the white t-shirts with the black caption from of BBC with the letters and with the pink thing with her photo and logo on it. It's like it is pretty cool.
yeah. And in person, like I say, parts of the design were really, really good. So yeah, I recommend people go and check them out on the website. Again, if I remember to put a link in the show notes, I will.
Yeah, yeah, nice.
Also, more bad news for the BBC on the retail side. The Tokyo flagship store is also closing down. They announced that on Instagram
Yes.
a couple of weeks back. I should actually just go back
Oh,
to the London store first. Actually, the London
okay.
store, I have been told they do have something else planned. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a brand new store somewhere or they're going to start doing more installations or more pop ups or whatever. But I think there will be more BBC EU retail stuff coming in the future. I just get the feeling that that store specifically, and we've talked about it on a previous episode, it makes no
Yeah.
money. It makes like 10% or something, or 5% of their revenue, which is nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
they're in a prime location in Soho in London. The rent there must be ridiculously expensive. They've always got to have at least two or three staff in there as well to have somebody at the front of the store, someone downstairs, someone else to kind of rotate when there's customers in and stuff. So I imagine it's extraordinarily expensive to run. And also we have to bear in mind they were, bought by JD Sports whenever it was last year or whatever the date was. And I can imagine JD Sports obviously want them to also reduce their costs and not have stupidly expensive flagship, London flagship store that costs a fortune and doesn't really make the business that much money. So I'm sure there are various factors as to why it closed, but hopefully from what I've heard, there should be something else in the works. So we'll keep our eyes and ears open for that. But yes, the Tokyo store has also
Yeah.
closed. I think I can't remember what the closing date was going to be, but I think it has passed. So if you were heading to Tokyo and you were hoping to visit the BBC store, which I know a lot of people do when they go to Japan and go to Tokyo, unfortunately, you will not be able to. I'm assuming
Yeah, man.
it's stuff is still available from the website, probably still available at other kind of third party stockists. I don't know what the plan is in Tokyo, whether they're going to look for a new space or not. I think this was already their third space in Tokyo, because obviously they had the big opening when they launched over there many years ago. I think that one was over 2 floors. They then downsized it. It then got moved, and I think the store they've just shut wasn't that big, but it was in obviously quite a popular sort of area. So it'll be interesting to see sort of what they do as well with their sort of retail side of their business, because I really don't know what the Japanese side of the business makes in terms of revenue and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was surprised actually, like with closing the BBC EU and Tokyo store because when when the fashion world like is starting to uh, bring back the Y2K fashion back, one of the things that I thought about was like, oh, maybe is the chance that of a I don't know billionaire boys club comeback because like especially in the mid it was like mid 2000s. BBC was huge, alongside with Babe. So that's why I think it surprised me a lot because I was thinking, oh, BBC can be huge right now. But after reading some stuff about how people are buying clothes and sneakers right now, it makes sense because there's a lot of small brands that is making a huge impact in the fashion world right now. Is just because people are actually looking to buy like more exclusive clothing, like the more unique, the better.
Yeah.
So it makes so after like thinking about it and reading about that stuff, I was like, oh, okay, so that makes sense. Even though like even if BBC make a little bit of a comeback because of everything Y2K is coming back, but it makes sense they are closing the stores because uh, the fashion world is kind of crazy right now. Like you cannot presume anything.
Yeah, retail is down everywhere around the world. And I think if you're
Yeah,
a fairly niche brand which doesn't sell massive amounts anyway, like I say, I don't know about the Japan store and kind of what they turn over and they make, but at least in the London store, I think well, I think we talked about it previously. They're turning over something like 10 million a year. Only 5 to 10% of that's coming from the retail store. I imagine most of that money they make from the retail store is eaten up by rent, staffing costs, insurance, all that kind of thing. So it's just not sort of financially viable now, especially when, even if they kind of appeal to the sort of younger market in terms of the styles and, the 2000s styles coming back. Like BBC EU is the luxury arm of the brand. There aren't
true,
many people that are teenagers now or in their early 20s that are spending, €100 on a t-shirt, €300 on a hoodie, stuff like that. If they are going to spend that money, they want it to be from a real well-known designer luxury brand, not just,
true.
BBC, which is a bit more niche and not quite as well known.
Yeah, yeah, true. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
But yes, sad news for the stores and, for the staff as well. I met a lot of the staff, at least in the London store, over the years, and follow some of them on Instagram still. Some of them follow me. Really good people, really lovely people that have worked there and that still work at BBC EU as well. So if anyone has lost their jobs, yeah, it's very sad. But hopefully they go on to bigger and better things, and hopefully we see
Yeah.
BBC EU and Tokyo back in a store somewhere soon.
Yeah. What about I remember you saying like that you have like a contact with the staff from BBC New York. Like they still the same, like Mimi and all those people.
Yeah, so it's still mainly the same people running each individual company.
Okay.
Because yeah, you have to remember like they are individual entities, but they do kind of work in collaboration and in partnership because they represent one brand. But yeah, in each location, yeah, Mimi and her team are still there in the US. There's been a few people leave and a few people join recently in the US or over the last 12 months or so. But yeah, Mimi is still there. So shout out to Mimi. Ross is still running things mainly in the EU. Shout out Ross. And then over in Tokyo, I'm not kind of as close with those guys there. I think I follow a few of them, but I don't really know who's kind of in charge there and what kind of goes on in terms of their staffing over there. But I think generally speaking, it's the same people kind of at the top level.
Yeah, man. One thing about the Tokyo store, like I think it's one of the last ones that still have the design of the store was still like doing some reference to ice cream shop, right? I don't remember correctly. It's been a while since the last time I've seen some photos, but I think that was the last one.
Yeah, I think the newer one, or the one they've just had, they've only had for a few years, and I think it removed a lot of that stuff because you had that in the UK store originally. Obviously, the US store originally had a lot of that, and the Tokyo
Yeah,
store that first opened did have a lot of that. And I think they moved some of that into the second store, but I think in this one it was a bit more minimalist.
no, okay, I get it. Yeah, I when I was in Brussels, I discovered this sneaker shop, and it's called Supermarket, and the reference, like the way that they the decor of the store, like make me really remember about the the first BBC ice cream shops, like because the theme is supermarket, so they have like the fruit section and also the freezer section. So they put a lot of sneakers inside of a old fridge, and it looks super cool. And I was talking with the owner of the store, and I was like, oh, this makes me think about Billionaire Boys Club and ice cream back in the day. And he was like, oh, it was one of my reference, and it was those stores because I was a huge fan also. So that was pretty cool.
I really miss those kind of OG BBC ice cream store sort of designs. I really like that
Yeah,
quirkiness. Obviously, over the years, they've moved away
true.
from that and gone to kind of more minimal design, a kind of more standard shop interior design, which is fine. It kind of works okay. Like, the BBC EU store at least had all of the kind of, the graphics on the walls and things like that, which made it look quite cool. But yeah, there was nothing kind of particularly quirky inside it like you used to have, especially like in the original New York store.
Yeah,
It would be nice to see more stores doing things like that to kind of stand out a bit because I think I went into quite a few stores in London and then obviously a few stores here since I've been back, just buying bits and pieces, and like they all look the same nowadays. Like
yeah,
all
true.
these kind of high end boutique stores, they all effectively look the same or very similar at least. There's no real kind of personality to them anymore.
Yeah, it's true. Like we have Barcelona has I don't know actually if it is a Barcelona brand, but there's a store in here that is called Stuff, like with three S's and three F's, and all their clothes like is crazy. Like it's pretty. I don't know how to describe it, but it's pretty crazy. Like the graphics is kind of like a mean clothing line almost. Like I will never wear one of their clothes, but at the same time, I like how they are doing stuff there, like the graphics, and they are pretty interesting and creative. And the store is also like is the same. It's kind of the same vibe as a supermarket. They also have like, but the fridge, like they have this big fridge, but it's actually the part of the store that you get into to prove the clothing. So you get in there and you prove the clothing, everything you get out. So it is actually inside of a old fridge. So it's pretty cool to see. And it's one of those things like you said, like every store that you got into is always the same. So it's just cool to see a clothing brand doing some totally different stuff from to depart from everybody else.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need more of that. And I have to say a shout out to a store we have here, the New Room store, who are kind of friends of mine, friends of the podcast. Um, they actually sell BBC ice cream stuff as well. They have an account as of earlier this year. They do some really cool, interesting stuff in their store. They switch it up quite a lot as well. They do certain themings. They move stuff around. It's just more interesting. There's more going on. They also have a pop up or sort of semi permanent. I'm not quite sure what it is inside Stockman, which is like the kind of high end department store here in Helsinki. And they've also just opened their own store at Helsinki Airport as well. So they're doing lots of really cool stuff in the different spaces at the moment, which is really good to see. So let's say shout out to them. I don't think we have many listeners here in Finland. If you are listening from Finland, you're probably aware of the New Room store anyway. If you're not, make sure you go and check them out in Stockman, in the city centre, or at the airport. Let's quickly rattle through
Nice.
some Pharrell related news because we're going really at nearly an hour and a half. So we won't go too deep into these, but we'll just kind of talk about what's been happening. So, as we mentioned earlier, Pharrell's been doing some music for the Olympics. I did hear the track a couple of times, really liked it. A very big, grand, inspiring piece of music, which I think it's meant to be. I can't remember the name of the track, but it is something like Inspire or something like that. I'll put a link in the show notes to where
Mm.
you can hear part of it. Um, we also saw Pharrell carrying the torch at the Olympics and at lots of events. He was, very involved in the Olympics over the summer. We have also seen a Pharrell and Human Race collaboration in the last week with the water company Evian doing a tennis capsule collection for some reason. Nothing in there that
Yeah.
I particularly like or that I would particularly wear. There are shorts, t-shirts, fleeces, a few accessories and bits and pieces. I think I saw nice color palette. I would say some pastel pinks and things like that in there, but nothing too special. But if you are a tennis player or a fan of tennis style clothing, then you can go and check that out. There's also some new Adidas sneakers coming soon. There is a Pharrell version of the Adidas Light Strike Pro Evo running shoe. So this is like the really high end running shoe that like actual marathon runners wear on their feet. Pharrell has done a version. I've only seen a couple of images related to this. I don't think there are any major changes to the design or the silhouette. I think it's more color design and color blocking that he's kind of had input with. But there is a version of that coming. There'll be
Yeah.
a link in the show notes so you can have a look.
Yeah. These sneakers like I actually like the normal version is pretty cool. And I was in a Adidas store and I tried one of those and it's pretty awesome. Like it's pretty comfortable. And this Pharrell colorway, like it looks kind of cool. Like I like it.
I haven't looked at it for ages. I'm just having to open it up in the background to refresh my memory. Oh yes, that's it. So yeah,
Yeah, it looks good.
it's fairly kind of plain white, but then it's got the stripes across the inside and extra large on the outside in a green, blue, and brown kind of color. Yes, they are. It does look quite nice, to be fair. A bit too much white for my liking. I don't wear white sneakers,
Hmm.
but yes, these are quite nice. And if you are a professional runner of some kind or a marathon runner, then The perfect shoe for you.
Yeah, it's just the price is insane. I think it's like four or five
I
hundred
think they're about
euros, something like
500 or
that.
something,
The
yeah, because
retail
they
price.
are, yeah,
Yeah,
literally professional marathon running shoes, yeah.
yeah, sure.
So if you like Pharrell, you like marathon running, and you're reasonably wealthy, the perfect shoe for you.
Yeah, true.
We've also got I think it's a documentary coming soon called All Day I Dream About Sport. I get the feeling from the title that Adidas will be involved in funding some of this somehow. It's by Gabrielle Moses and Pharrell Williams, obviously, produced by Division Global, and it states it's a film about sport. Now, it says a film. I don't know if that actually means it's a documentary of some kind or whether it's an actual film. We will have to wait and see. It was teased as coming soon at the start of August. I've not seen anything else about it since then. So we'll have to wait and see as to when we get some more news about it.
Let's see.
And then finally, some kind of new, kind of old music from Pharrell. There was a release from Doodles with Coil Ray, a new track called Not in the Store. If you're not familiar with them, I was going to try and explain it, and I don't know how to explain it. Doodles is kind of like an animated, what is it, like an animated world, I guess. They've previously done
Yeah,
with various
graphically animated.
characters. They've previously done like NFTs and stuff like that with Pharrell as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like friends with us, but digital, right?
Yeah, to a
I
certain
don't
extent.
know.
Yeah, that's maybe a good way to explain it. Yeah. So, Doodles, this animation thing, group collaboration, whatever it might be, is putting out an album and Not in the Store, produced by Pharrell and Coil Ray on the vocals, will be on it. There is an official music video on YouTube, and I'll put a link in the show notes. This is actually an old Uzi Vert track. This was done for him originally.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, there is a version out there floating around somewhere with his vocals on it still. So you can find a demo or a partially recorded version with a little Uzi Vert if you dig around on YouTube and on the internet. But he is not on this version. It is Coil Ray. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Again, one of these artists that I don't know a huge amount about.
Yeah.
But I quite like this. I like the video. I like the kind of concept. I'm interested to see what the whole Doodles album is going to be like and who it's going to feature and stuff like that. I think there was a track list that came out. I don't remember looking at it in detail though, so I don't know who else features on that album. But this is I think the one Pharrell track that is on there.
Yeah, nice. Like it's one of those like I heard the song also, and my first reaction was like, oh, it's mid. And but that when I thought about that and I saw some people like talking about it and some people like it, some other people don't, and it just made me think about how particularly every time that I heard a song that don't really catch my hearing, like I just totally like I don't revisit it
Yeah.
anymore. It's just because we have so much to hear, like so many things coming out, so many new artists, and you just don't have the time, or you just like get flooded with new music and sometimes old music also, because you're always revisiting like the songs that you used to like in the past, especially from the Neptune. Like if you think about the catalog of Neptunes, Pharrell, N.E.R.D, like it's a lot of songs. So I just miss those days when a song was like mid or I didn't like, and after a few days I revisited, I remember to revisit it, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool,
Yes.
you know. So I just hope like I have to make from now on I have to remember to make a list of songs that I don't like, and I don't know, and just remember like put a note or revisited this in a month just to see my mood on the day, you know, just to see if I like it a little more.
Yeah, I've done exactly the same with this track. I listened to it when it first dropped. I watched the video once or twice, and then I never went back to it again. And if you ask me to kind of
Yeah,
explain the beat or the song now, I wouldn't be able to do it because I really don't remember it properly. I remember listening to it and going like, "Oh, it's okay, nothing special." So I never, yeah, never went back to it
yeah,
again. But I probably should at some point. But this is one of those songs where it's not going to be some kind of massive hit or anything. So it's going to be one of those ones that divides people. I think it's going to be you either think it's rubbish or you think it's okay.
yeah, true. But one thing that I'm doing with music right now, I'm like, I asked Juliana to listen to a song or an album, like with me, so we, so then we can talk about it, and is being pretty good. Like, it's like an experience that we are doing, so it's pretty cool. Even not just for the song, but just to making this thing together. Because what I notice also, like most of the time when I listen to new songs or new artists, I'm always doing something else,
Yeah.
so I don't actually pay attention, you know. So just to stop everything and listen to a song or an album with someone else is pretty cool, because it's like going to the movies, you know, and watching a movie, and that's all you're doing, because you turn your cell phone off and you're just doing that, and then you get out of the theater and you start to talk about the movie. So it's been a pretty good experience, man, to listen to, especially new songs and new artists.
Yeah, I kind of miss that as well. I miss like this is like old men complaining about what's rubbish nowadays and
Yeah,
how it was better back in the old days.
exactly.
But no, one thing I do miss is like when there wasn't just this endless stream or flood of music where you would go to the store, you would buy a CD, and you would come home and you would just sit there and you would just listen to it. Now
Yeah,
it might be by
man.
yourself, it
Wow.
might be with a friend, it might be with a partner, whoever, and you would just sit and you would listen, or you just lay on the sofa and listen, and you'd sit there and
Yeah, man.
you'd get the little booklet out, you'd read all the liner notes, you'd look at who produced things, who was on certain instruments, what samples were, you'd read all the credits and everything,
Wow.
and then you get to the end and you go,
Yeah.
oh, that was good, and then the next day you might put it on again and might play it again, and you just do that whenever you sort of
Yeah,
feel like it.
exactly.
Nowadays, it's just like because we don't really get particularly good bodies of work, it tends to be like, okay, well, I've heard this album's coming out. I'll just listen to like the main couple of singles that I've heard people talk about, and you pick a couple of tracks, you skip through the rest of them, and you or at least I never really get to listen to anything sort of properly nowadays. I never just sit there and go from end to end. I'm listening to this album. Although I must say, over this summer, I have tried to do that a little bit with one album that I've had on rotation, and that is Black Yacht Rock. That's been my summer album this year, and I've made sure that I've carved a little bit of time out every now and again to just put that on in the house when I'm doing nothing because I've just found that to be now one of my favorite Pharrell pieces of work, and I've been playing that
Yeah.
all summer long.
Nice, man. Oh, back to what I was saying. Like, that is an album that I loved. Like, the first time that I listened to it, and then the second time, then the third time. But since it's not in all platforms, like sometimes I just forgot. I just forget about the album. I
Yeah,
have to revisit it again. Yeah,
and it's easy to do because
it's
it's one
crazy.
that it hasn't had an official release. It's never had any promotion. It's never really been talked about. So it's very easy to just kind
Yeah,
of forget about it. But I have found it gets better with every listen that I give it, and I've given it a lot of listens now, and I still massively enjoy it.
yeah, that's awesome.
I still hear new things every time I listen to it. I really, really do hope at some point soon he talks about it, they promote it, they put it on streaming or whatever they need or want to do to kind of get it out there a bit more. Not only because other people get to listen to it and experience it, because I imagine there's hardly anybody in the world that has heard that album, but it also means that we can finally get a guest on here to talk about it, because we have got a guest lined up to talk about the album who has worked on the album, but they can't come on until Pharrell has talked about it publicly. So
Yeah, true. Like I would love to Pharrell just to do like exactly what Childish Gambino did with one of the albums that he put out like this year, but he actually put out the album like I think it was 3 years ago. Like the album was untitled with no cover, the name of the songs with the date that the songs would finish. Like the promotion for the album was trash, but the album was great. But since they have no like zero attempt to make a good promotion or even artwork or anything, like it was like a super slapped on album. And this year, like Childish Gambino decided to, okay, so I'm gonna put a name on the album, I'm gonna name the songs, and I'm gonna make a video for one song, and that's it. So I would just love to see Pharrell like do exactly the same thing, like do some promotion for the album, do a video for like I don't know, go to Jimmy Fallon and I don't know, promote a little bit, just to make
yeah,
the album alive in some way.
let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. But you said about you talked about like the album of the summer that you are listening to it, and maybe it's something that we could do from now on. Is like talk about like an album that you are listening to from the I don't know, since we we usually do like every 2 weeks, so we can talk about an album that we are listening to on those 2 weeks. And if I'm going to be talking about my album, I was listening to the new Bad Not Good album like almost every day, and it's called Mid Spiral. And one of the reasons that I love this album is because I saw them on June in Primavera Sound, and a lot of the songs that they play on the live on the festival is in this album. So when I first listened to the album, I was like, "Oh, I remember this song. Oh, I remember that one." So it was pretty special to I heard the album live before the studio
Yeah.
version. And it was the first time I ever done that, like ever. So yeah, is my album of the summer for sure.
Send me a link to it and I'll give it a listen. I'll also try and add it to the show notes as well. And what I would say is, if there's some kind of album out there, it doesn't have to be a recent one, but one that you're kind of really into at the moment, ping us on Instagram or via the website. Send us a link to it, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, whatever. And then maybe myself and Rafa can give it a listen and talk about it on the show as well.
True, yes. Please do that. Like I miss those moments when people like just ping you like new songs and new artists that you were never listening to if it wasn't for that person. So yeah.
Yeah. And bear in mind, like, even if it's a really popular album and you really like it, still send it, because I listen to nothing new basically. So everything is new to me.
Yeah, nice.
All right, cool. Should we wrap it up there, because we've nearly been going 2 hours now, and somebody, i.e., me,
Yeah.
needs to go to bed soon as well.
Yeah, okay. Let's wrap it up.
All right, cool. You can find the show notes in the podcast player of your choice where you're listening to this at the moment. If you scroll down or press whatever button you need, you can hopefully find the show notes, all the links there. If you would prefer to look at them on a computer, you can go to the others.net and you can find all the episodes there to stream, all the show notes, all the links, and you can get in touch with us there as well. You can find me online pretty much everywhere at Steve R. Penny. Rafa has a new Instagram. He hasn't been a naughty boy, but he's had his Instagram taken away from him by the Instagram gods, and he's had to set up a new one. Is this just Sneak Cartel with a 2 at the end?
Yeah, exactly. Sneak Cartel 2.
All right, so I'll make sure that's
I,
the show
I will
notes.
probably change it because I have to decide what I'm going to do. But I did this Instagram like at the same day that they took me the other one. So I will probably change it, but right now is Sneak Cartel 2, the number 2 at the end.
Yep. So I'll put a link in the show notes to direct people to the new page. So
Yes.
if you are already a follower of Rafa's old page and you've been wondering where he's disappeared to, there is a new page. So it's sneak.art.l with a number 2 at the end, and you can find him there. So we'll wrap it up this week. We will speak to you in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully. And we'll catch you soon. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye guys.